What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're driving an E36 M3 sedan, but it's not my E36 M3 sedan. This is Ben. This is his E36 M3 sedan with 241,000 miles, correct?
Yeah, 242, something like that.
242. 240 and change. We're going to discuss high mileage E36 M3 ownership. As a lot of you know, I've now owned that 260,000 mile E36 M3 for almost 4.5, approaching on 5 years early next year. And you just bought this M3
about a month ago. I've already put about, I don't know, $3,000-$4,000 worth of parts and labor into it.
You said you did some sorting. Check engine light just came on, which is beautiful for this video.
Yep. Literally 20 minutes ago, driving here, it came on. So we don't know what it is yet.
No, we have no idea. We're going to talk about high mileage E36 M3 ownership, generally what it's like, what can you expect, and the big question, is it worth owning a high mileage E36 M3?
This car has the stock exhaust.
Yeah, stock exhaust, dyno intake. There's our beautiful check engine lights.
But if you hit here the check thing, check control okay.
Something mine does not say.
Yeah.
Wow, this already feels way quicker than mine. What?
Like 3,000, 4,000 pulls pretty good.
What? Why does this feel so much quicker than mine?
Yeah.
That's stupid.
Close the sunroof.
Oh yeah, I need to fix that on mine. So, high mileage E36 M3 ownership. Now, of course, we have a digital tachometer right now because we're doing a test for ourselves, trying to see how high this car revs.
Yep.
Which we'll do in the video. But it has 240,000 miles. Flash it up on screen, see the exact mileage whenever I decided to shoot that clip. So, high mileage E36 M3 ownership, what can you expect? Assuming, we're going to assume for the sake of the video, that you're buying a car with over 200,000 miles, because frankly, that's really where a lot of these are at this point.
Yep.
I'm sure you probably saw that when you were looking.
Yep.
When I was looking, it wasn't as common, but that was also 5 years ago now, which is insane to think about. And the engines, they hold up well. The engine, drivetrain, like transmission, diff, it all holds up really well. But everything around them does not hold up well whatsoever. So what is that? Anything plastic, rubber, in the engine bay. You did a timing service because you said your old guides were cracked, correct?
Yeah, I noticed that there were some bits of plastic in the oil pickup, and so I just decided to pull the front of the engine off and replace everything. So new timing chains, new guides, tensioner. There's 2 tensioners actually, and then I rebuilt the Vanos unit. And then it took me a bit to figure out how to actually time the engine. There's a ton of videos on how to do it. They don't really explain fully how to do it. I did find one that did correctly.
Yep.
Some British guy in England explained it, how it works. But in the near future, there will be a video on how to fix the Vanos.
Yes.
Engines.
You know what? It's your lack of, okay. Your lack of transmission tunnel insulation here.
Yes, you noticed that?
Yeah. Yeah, so anything plastic, cooling system's a big one. The metal impeller water pump, the thermostat housing, and aluminum, all that good jazz. Radiator, and honestly, even new OEM plastic is fine, as long as it's new. You can consider basically every 10 years you should redo the cooling system.
Yep.
With new OEM stuff. If you do that, you will never have an issue with plastic parts. And basically apply that to now everything rubber and plastic in the engine bay. And they'll last. I'm gonna do this. Get some light in here. Oh, you can hear that induction so much more in this car. I need to remove that insulation.
Yep. I did have to repair both both front seats.
Yes. Yep. There you go. If you have power seats, there's another like BS E36
There's
item.
like 4 motors in the seats and little plastic gears that break, and you have to replace them. Otherwise, your seat gets stuck in whatever position it's at, and you can't move it.
Yeah, which is it's tough. It's tough out here for us E36 owners.
Also, the window regulator just shattered. Another plastic piece.
Yep, another plastic piece.
Yep.
It'll be a very recurring theme in this video.
A good thing about these cars is the chassis is really well designed. It's very rigid.
So yes and no to the cracking. If you have a Nana without the subframe reinforcements and you have worn out rubber bushings,
You will crack those.
yeah, you will crack those. Or if you decide to do drifting, clutch dumping, any of that stuff, you will crack the subframe area. It happens. And then strut tower reinforcements is a must. You have to do it. Because it's a small car, BMW cheaped out on the sheet metal, so it's thin there. On stock suspension, you'll probably be okay, but anything aftermarket, those plates, you need them.
Basically exactly what he said.
Yeah, the X-Brace is also a nice mod. Not needed, but like it tightens up the car noticeably.
Another thing you want to do is polyurethane bushings on the front control arms.
Yup.
That helps a lot with turn-in feel, braking too, especially.
Do you have that on here?
I do.
Okay, which one does it go with?
I think the PowerFlex ones.
Okay, they feel good. That is the thing with higher mileage ones, but honestly, really any of them. The D10s haven't been done on the ZF5 speed, which is all the M3s are. You're gonna have fifth gear lean, weird shifting occasionally, like all that good stuff. This one actually is pretty good considering. The D10s do make it shift a little slicker, so this one, it's a little notchier, clickier to go into gear. The D10s will kind of smoothen that out, but if you do want something clickier, a short shifter can always kind of accomplish the same thing. And a short shifter with D10s will feel really good. And actually, if I had to pick between do a shifter or do D10s, I would do the D10s. It is like such a game changer on these cars. So I'll circle back to the timing chains for a second. These cars aren't known for timing issues, but when they get higher mileage, like this one 240, mine was at 260 when the head gasket blew, which again, not an issue they really have. But when they get to that mileage, for lack of better words, shit happens. Like, you don't know how the car was treated. Maybe in my case, it was overheated a couple of times. And while the head gasket didn't blow then, it just, later in life, it was weakened and then it gave out. In this case, it was cracked from, who knows, existing for a long period of time. And, BMW says it's good for the lifetime of the engine. Well, unfortunately, the lifetime of the engine is much more than 250,000 miles for them. So maybe that's what they said it was good for, and that's the chain guy was good for, and it did its job. But these last a lot longer. You just got to replace all the things around it.
They're definitely not as bad as the E39 V8 cars.
Yes, not as bad as the V8. Now, this is like more of a standalone thing. Yeah, if you find a lower mileage E36 M3, timing will not be of any concern to you whatsoever. It's like not an existent issue.
The Vanos rebuild will though.
Yes.
You're going to have to do that.
You will have to do Vanos rebuild.
There's a bearing inside it. That
Yes.
wears out and it starts
Yes,
rattling.
correct. Yeah, it'll start to rattle. And there's those, the seals, and it's just good.
You don't actually have to replace the timing chains. You can pull the Vanos off and leave those gears in place.
Right. Yep. Plenty of DIYs on YouTube, although we're going to go into it this winter on my car because mine has a check engine light on for the Vanos. That's also another thing too. You can work on these cars in your backyard super easily, and that's what's awesome about them. But if you get a higher mileage one, things will be messed with. It's not going to be the way the manual was, the manual intended for it to be, and how it was from the factory, because somebody's been in there before you. And even if somebody hasn't been in there before you, a lot of you out there who are buying higher mileage ones are probably buying it because it's cheaper. And that's okay. That makes the car more attainable, more affordable to get into. All those fantastic things. That's why I got one. Mine was like $5,500 back in the day. Wow.
How high did that actually go?
We'll see it in post. I didn't expect as much wheel spin as we just got, dude. That was crazy. What tires are on here?
They're shot. They're Michelin's, but they're on the wear bars.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that I was unaware of that. Now I know. We'll try that again later. And now I know. Yeah, if you're working on one of these, follow the manual. Don't try to janky DIY it. Reference the website. There's tons of websites. FCP Euro, Turner Motorsport, ECS Tuning, Race German, Pelican Part. They all have these great write-ups for these cars. And of course, YouTube. Tons of information available for this car. I mean, I did a whole head gasket following YouTube, basically. What have we not talked about? Oh, suspension.
Yeah, you pretty much have to replace every bushing on the suspension.
Yes, everything.
Literally anything that's rubber needs to be replaced. So diff bushings, control arm bushings,
Subframe bushings.
yeah, literally everything.
Rear trailer arms. Oh wait, you said that. All the ball joints in the rear and the control arm ball joints in the front. Tie rods, all of it. If you're a high mileage car, if it hasn't been touched, it needs to be replaced.
Most of these cars by this point have already had the rubber transmission?
Yes. Oh yeah, they had to have.
If not, yours is definitely about to explode and you need to replace it.
I think explode is the proper word too, because those do not look good when they come out.
No.
Mine was original when I had it actually, but mine was also an auto car, so it was kind of babied a bit. But when I replaced it in 2020, it was cracked. It was awful. I might have a photo, throw up on screen. It looked terrible and had tons of terrible vibrations. Tender sport bearing, kind of in that same vein. You should probably do them both at the same time if you don't know if they've been done or not. If you're gonna buy aftermarket parts for your high mileage E36 M3, because let's face it, as you're maintaining it and restoring it, it's fun to buy aftermarket parts. Don't buy anything that is cheap or of lower quality than OEM, ever. It will always backfire on you. Every time. Or you're gonna hurt the car, the way the car drives. You have some cool plans for this car. What do you want to do to this car?
So I want to make a high RPM naturally aspirated build with this engine. Hopefully make a little over 300 horsepower NA, which would be nice. The one thing you'll have to replace is the lights on the dash. The
Oh.
backlight.
Yep.
I haven't done mine yet. It's kind of dark on one side.
Yeah, these do also get spots in them, and that's a common issue with the actual lamination itself. But you do have to actually send the cluster off somewhere and get fixed. You can DIY it, but I don't recommend it. I actually have a DIY on how to do that in your car. It's one of my first videos, actually. It's very old. So if you want to go take a trip down memory lane for myself and see how to do it, I'll put it somewhere on the screen. But it's a very easy thing to do, and I think it's just an easy way to improve like how the car, how it looks. It's just nice when at nighttime when your whole cluster lights up. It's just fun. This car feels so solid for what it is. Like in some respects, this actually feels nicer than mine. Like the whole drive line feels nicer than mine, which I'm kind of like salty about.
Don't worry, we'll make yours as good.
I think I need to do something with the throttle cable because yours feels a lot better.
Yeah.
I think my bushings are just like
I would
shot.
try to swap in the manual car throttle assembly. I do have ECS tuning rubber engine mounts, which are slightly stiffer than stock.
Interesting. Yeah, there's less slop.
Yep.
I like that. Like even in mine, because of the diff, you would think with solid diff bushings on my car that the slop would be better, but it's actually not because my engine mounts and trans mounts now deflecting in its place.
And the ECS tuning mounts are actually cheaper than the OEM ones, and they're solid rubber. I like them. They seem to be holding up pretty good.
I think that was 7.
Was 7?
I think it was. We'll see. We'll check. But that was the limiter. So there we go. Now we can check.
The other thing you'll definitely want to do is the oil pump nut.
Oil pump nut.
wire.
Yes.
I also did a timing chain tensioner for the oil pump. There's a bunch of different kits that you can do for that. But if you do any type of high horsepower, turbo, supercharger, or high RPM, you're going to need to do that. Otherwise, you will break your oil pump shaft.
Yeah, not very cool.
But these cars, from factory, the torque on the oil pump nut is not very tight, and they tend to back off.
Yeah, for drifting, it's not an issue on the auto cars.
No.
But on the manual ones, and if you're like banging the limiter especially, it is.
And your engine will go from fine and happy to all of a sudden blown up because the oil pump chain fell off.
In the fashion of more rubber and more plastic components, door seals, every seal on the car, windshield seal, rear glass seal, it's a big thing on sedans. If you have a coupe, those weird like rear glass seals, all of them, they need to be replaced at some point. There we go. Nice car for 240,000 miles. I mean, you have put some money into this. So actually, so you did the van house, you did the timing service, your front control arm bushings. What else have you done to this car to get it here?
So I didn't have to replace this, but I...
Preventative. Yup.
Valve cover gasket, spark plugs, oil pan gasket, front timing cover reseal.
Right, while you were in there, yup.
It was still running fine. However, I replaced the timing chain guides and timing chains.
And that's a point I'll hit on in a second, but continue.
I upgraded the balancer to a VAC motor.
Right, that was a big part of your cost.
It's quite pricey, but if you want to do any type of higher RPM build, it's a must. You have to upgrade the damper on these engines. Otherwise, you will break timing chains, you will break oil pumps.
So, last point I want to hit on in this video, preventative maintenance. The problem with a lot of people buying European cars that aren't used to European car ownership is they fix things as they break. You don't do that on a European car. You fix it before it breaks. Because of how tight the tolerances are on all the parts on these cars, if you wait for it to break, it's going to blow something up and become more expensive later. So once it's showing signs of wear, or really in an ideal situation, you do it on an interval, you replace it. And by doing that, you're ensuring that you'll have a reliable European car that will never have issues. You can probably attest to that?
Yep, I can attest to that.
I think that's the biggest point to drive home. Preventative maintenance. Don't lack on the maintenance. Just because it's not broken yet doesn't mean you don't have to do it. And if you follow that rule in your entire ownership, you will have a good ownership experience of your high mileage BMW E36 M3. So, happy motoring, everybody, and good luck with your life-changing purchases, for better or for worse.
Oh, you have to tell it what it is?
Fuel control bank. P1189. What a annoying code to have. And if you guys would like to know what that code means, click up here. I made a whole video detailing that code set because it sucks, but you're going to see it a lot on your high mileage E36 M3.
Feels like I've been doing way too much, babe. Feels like